Good day, Chicago. It's 8:23 right now. Today, voters go to the polls to pick replacements for the late Senator Ted Kennedy.
Here to break down the race and discuss why this election is so important is political analyst Thom Serafin. Good morning. You just told me during the break, forget what the polls say. This would be a huge upset, and you don't think really the numbers are there for a Republican perhaps to pull this off?
No, 12% of the registered voters are Republican, 36% Democrat, the rest independents. And that's where Barack Obama has been losing in the last year with his independent voters, which elected him narrowly, with 52% of the vote a year ago. It's a 1 year now.
Well, some say this could be a referendum for people who do not want the health care bill. What do the voters of Massachusetts feel about the health care bill?
Well, 48% in the polls show that they're against the national health care plan of Obama. They call it Obamacare. 41% are for it. But remember, they have their own health care plan in Massachusetts where 98% of the people are covered. It's really become, Mr. Brown has really nationalized his campaign by talking about the health care plan, talking about the incumbencies in Washington, D.C., that they're not paying attention. I think this is a larger issue about Congress just not being responsive. They still like Mr. Obama with 66% approval in Massachusetts. So, this is the only state in the union that went for George McGovern in 1972. This is the most impossible places of any state in the union to pull this off for Republicans. So, it's going to be an earthquake if it happens.
A lot of the reporters are talking about the race between Brown and Coakley, but there's a libertarian in this race who is getting a lot of angry feedback, particularly from Republicans who are saying, drop out of the race. You're ruining the chance for the Republican side to really score an upset in this. Do you think that he's a factor in any of this?
Well, his numbers were larger, about 5%, but they've moved down to less than 2% now. So, this thing, as it gets closer to the impact, which is today, things have separated. It's Republican or Democrat, and people are casting Republican votes that have never cast Republican votes before.
If you looked at this poll 3 months ago, Martha Coakley had a substantial lead in many of the polls. Whether you believe them or not, now clearly Brown is leading in some of these polls. What do you think shifted? What happened?
Well, he was able to nationalize the campaign, and she made a couple personal gaffes along the campaign trail by suggesting that one of the baseball players from the Boston Red Sox was really a Yankee fan and not wanting to shake hands, taking a week off in a 5-week campaign to go on vacation. So she hasn't been the best candidate, and that's what the Democrats are now setting us up for. But in reality, this guy is a good candidate. Brown's a good candidate and nationalized his campaign, and all of a sudden the whole world started paying attention.
Why is this race so important?
Well, because this is the only state in the union which is the bluest of blue states. It's a guaranteed Obama state. You cannot lose here with Mr. Obama. Mr. Obama won with 26% of the vote last time. If this guy wins with 4 or 5% vote change, the whole world rocks because he's reacting to what's going on the national scene in Congress. It's an amazing change. It might impact Illinois in a week from now.
Is it possible that the Democrats, it might be a good thing if they lost there? Somebody was actually speculating that. I'm trying to figure out how that might possibly be.
Well, it's kind of an early warning system. Right before the plane crashes, you have a chance to parachute. Some Democrats may parachute from the Obamacare bill. They lose their majority, supermajority of 60, if he gets elected. So they're going to have to compromise. The problem is there's been no compromise up to this point. So yes, it's a good early warning system before 2010.
Thom Serafin, always great to have you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.